How was your day? Not the version you'd tell at work, the real one. Maybe you weren't quite the same person you were this morning. That happens. There's a book about exactly that. It's called Orlando. Settle in, you can fall asleep. Maybe today you felt too big for the shape people keep putting you in. Like there were 3 or 4 of you in there and only one was allowed out. Every week, one old book opened slowly. No homework, just somewhere quiet to land. It begins with a boy, 16, alone in the attic, swinging a sword at the air. His name is Orlando. The book is Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and nothing about him is ordinary. He runs out of the house, up the hill, to a single old oak. He lies down beneath it. From up here he can see the whole country. He feels the oak under him like the earth's own spine. Here's the strange thing. This boy will live for more than 300 years. He'll barely age, and somewhere in the middle, he'll wake up one morning as a woman. Same person, same heart, a different body, a different life, and the world treats her differently. So here's the question I want to carry tonight. Does anyone really stay one person their whole life? Or do we just keep becoming new ones, quietly, and call it all by the same name? We'll stay with this one tonight. More books, more worlds on other nights. This story keeps till morning. This is one of the strangest lives ever written down, and it starts at the glittering court of a dying queen. Stay with this part, it matters later. The old queen is about to notice the boy on the hill. A messenger comes up the hill. The queen is at the house. She wants to see the boy. He's told to kneel and offer her a bowl of rose water. Don't look up, they warn him. Don't look at her face. But he does look up, just for a second. And the old queen sees something in his face she wants to keep. Innocence, maybe, or just youth, the thing she's losing fast. She decides she will not let it go. She brings him to court, gives him rooms, robes, a place at her side. He is 16 and suddenly favored. He doesn't fully understand what's happening. He only knows the most powerful person alive has chosen him. There's something tender in it, and something a little frightening too. He can feel both and can't say which is which. She watches him constantly. Through mirrors, she sees what she shouldn't. She is jealous of his youth, his future. For Orlando, it's a strange education. He learns that being loved by power is its own kind of cage. And yet he loves it too. The silks, the candlelight, the sense of being at the very center of the world. He is young, beautiful, adored, and completely unaware that all of this is only the very first page of his life. Because soon the old queen will die, a great frost will come, and the river itself will turn to ice. The old queen dies, a young king takes the throne, and then the cold comes. They call it the Great Frost, the hardest winter England has ever known. Birds freeze in the air and fall, the ground turns to iron, and the great river stops moving. The Thames freezes solid end to end, thick enough to hold a city, and so a city grows on it. The young king orders a festival on the river, booths, bonfires, music, skaters, a whole frost fair. Orlando is there, of course. Older now, a young man of the court, restless and looking for something. He's engaged to a proper English lady. Everyone approves, and he feels absolutely nothing about it. Then, across the ice, he sees someone skating toward him. He can't tell yet if it's a boy or a girl. A figure in oyster-colored fur and velvet. Quick, sure, completely free on the ice, he can't look away. It's a woman, a Russian princess, here with her country's embassy. Her name is Sasha. Something happens in him that has never happened before. The whole frozen world goes quiet around her. He's 19, engaged, and certain of his whole life, and in one moment none of it matters anymore. He skates to her. They speak in French, the only language they share, and the words feel like a secret. Everything about her is new to him. She isn't shy, she isn't careful. She says exactly what she thinks. He compares her to everything beautiful he can think of. Snow cream, a fox, a green hill, an emerald, and yet none of the words fit her. She keeps slipping past them. That's part of what pulls him in. They meet on the ice every day. They tell each other things they've never told anyone. It feels endless. But the court whispers, a Russian, a foreigner. They don't trust her. They warn him she'll bring trouble. He doesn't care. For the first time in his life, he's certain of something. He decides he will marry her.
If you drift off here, that's fine. The fair will still glow on the ice, and the story keeps going on its own.
They make a plan. They'll slip away together in secret the night the festival ends. Just the two of them. He spends his last day at court in a daze. He looks at the old life he's leaving and feels nothing but lightness. That night the weather changes. A warm wind comes from the south, and far below the ice, something begins to stir. He waits at their meeting place near the river's edge. Midnight, the agreed hour. She isn't there yet. He tells himself she's only late. The wind is rising. Somewhere the ice gives a long, low groan. Hours pass. The wind tears at him, and still he waits, certain, the way only the very young can be certain. Then, far off, he sees the Russian ship. Its lanterns are lit. Its sails are being raised. It is leaving. She's on it. She was always going to be on it. She chose the ship and her own country, and not him. He runs out onto the ice after it, and that's the moment the river finally breaks. The whole frozen world comes apart at once. The ice he's standing on splits and carries him out toward the sea. When it's over, Sasha is gone for good. The river runs free again, as if the whole winter had only been a dream he made up. He stands on the empty bank where the booths once stood, and he understands that he has lost his first great love. He shouts her name across the water. The only answer is the wind, and the gulls and the river moving on. This is the first time we see what grief does to him. It doesn't make him bitter, it makes him quiet and very still. He goes home, back to the great house, the one constant thing in all his shifting life, and he shuts the door. For days he won't speak. The servants leave food at his door, the great house holds its breath around him, and then one morning he simply doesn't wake. He falls into a sleep so deep no one can rouse him. He sleeps for 7 days. When he wakes, something in him has gone quiet for good. He doesn't speak of Sasha again. This first long sleep matters, because much later, sleep will change him in a far stranger way than this. For now, he turns to the one thing that never leaves him, not love, not the court, but words on a page. He has been writing since he was a boy. Poems, plays, a long poem about an oak tree he can never finish. Writing is where he goes to be no one and everyone at once. It's the truest room in the whole great house. He decides he wants to be a great poet, more than a lord, more than a courtier. He wants the words to be good, so he does something risky. He invites a famous poet to stay at the house, a real one, from the city, to judge his work. His name is Nick Green, and inviting him in will turn out to be one of the most painful mistakes of Orlando's long life. For weeks, Nick Green lives at the house, eating Orlando's food and drinking his wine and praising his poems to his face. He tells Orlando that the great age of poetry is over, that the giants are all dead, that nobody writes truly anymore. Orlando believes every word. He's young, and he wants to be taken seriously, and a real poet is sitting in his chair. Then Green goes back to the city, and he writes something, a cruel little poem, mocking everything about Orlando. His grand house, his earnest poems, his hopeful young face. Green turns all of it into a joke for the whole city to laugh at. When Orlando reads it, something closes in him. Not anger, exactly. More like a door, quietly shutting on a part of himself. He gathers up almost everything he's ever written. Years of poems and plays, boxes and boxes of pages. He burns them, almost all of them. He keeps only one, the long poem about the oak tree. The rest go into the fire. He keeps the oak poem because it's the only thing he wrote for himself, not for fame, not for praise, just because. From now on, he tells himself, he'll write only for the oak tree, only for the thing that doesn't laugh and doesn't leave. He throws himself into the great house instead. He decides to make it beautiful, to fill its 300 rooms with life. For years he pours himself into it. Silver, velvet, gardens, fountains, the house becomes the great love of this part of his life. But a house, however beautiful, can't love you back. And slowly the old restlessness creeps in again at the edges. He starts to feel watched. There's a tall figure that keeps appearing in the grounds, veiled, always at a distance. It's a noblewoman, the Archduchess Harriet. She has decided from afar that she's in love with him, and she will not be put off. She pursues him through the house. Her attention feels enormous and heavy, like a weather he can't get out of. He likes none of it. The pursuit, the heaviness, the sense of being wanted by someone he doesn't want. He has to escape. So he goes to the king and asks for the furthest posting he can think of. Anywhere far away. Anywhere but here. The king grants it. Orlando is made ambassador to Constantinople. He packs his things and turns his back on England.
If you drift off here, that's fine. Orlando is sailing somewhere warm and far, and the story keeps going on its own.
Constantinople dazzles him. Heat, color, domes, and minarets. A whole world that runs by different rules than the one he left. He's good at the work in his way. Charming, generous, always a little distant. The people of the city are fond of him. But no one really knows him. He keeps everyone at arm's length. Even here, even in all this color, he's alone. He does the ceremonies. He signs the papers. He's given a great title and a fine sash. And inside, he feels less and less real. At night, he climbs to the highest balcony alone, away from all of it, and looks out over the dark, glittering city. Down in the streets, he sometimes sees a gypsy camp on the far hills with their fires and their goats and their freedom. Something in him is drawn to that simpler life. No titles, no papers, no court, just the hills and the weather and the day. Then the city begins to change. There's unrest in the streets, whispers of an uprising against the foreign powers. On one strange night, there's a great ceremony. The Sultan grants Orlando a dukedom. The embassy fills with light and music. There's feasting, fireworks over the water, and somewhere in the noise of it all, Orlando slips away to his room, exhausted. He lies down on his bed in the heat with the music still drifting up from below, and he falls asleep almost at once. He does not wake the next morning, or the morning after. He has fallen into the same deep sleep as once before, but longer. For 7 whole days he sleeps. The city burns and quiets outside. The uprising rises and falls, and he sleeps through all of it. No one can wake him. Doctors come, they hold mirrors to his lips and find breath, but nothing more. He simply will not return. It's as though some deep part of him has gone away to do work that the rest of him isn't allowed to watch. Woolf does something playful here. She pretends she's a careful biographer who simply can't explain what happens next. On the 7th day, trumpets sound in his dream. 3 figures seem to stand at the bedside. Purity, chastity, modesty. They try to keep something hidden. They beg for the truth to stay covered, but trumpets drown them out and they flee. And then, on the 7th morning, Orlando sits up in bed, wide awake, and stretches, and is in every way completely himself. And yet not himself. Because the person who rises from that bed after 7 days of sleep is a woman. Here's what's lovely about it. There's no horror, no scream. She looks at herself in the long mirror, and she's not afraid. Orlando, the woman, is the same person Orlando, the man, was. The same memories, the same heart, the same love of the oak tree. Woolf says it plainly, the change of sex changed their future. It did not, in the least, change their identity. They were the same. She dresses calmly. She gathers a few things. The embassy around her is in chaos from the night's uprising, and no one notices her go. She walks out of the embassy, out of her old life entirely, and up into the hills, to the gypsy camp she used to watch from the balcony. The gypsies take her in without many questions. They give her rough clothes, a place by the fire, and work to do with her hands. For a while, it's exactly what she wanted. Simple days, no titles, just the goats, the mountains, the cooking fire, the wide sky. But something starts to set her apart. She keeps looking at the sunsets too long. She talks about the beauty of nature. The gypsies find it strange. To them, the mountains are just the mountains. To her, they're full of meaning, history, poetry. She can't stop seeing it that way. She never could. And slowly she understands this freedom isn't quite hers either. There's a green country, far to the north, that keeps pulling at her heart. One day, a fleet of English ships drops anchor below the camp, and Orlando knows the moment she sees them that it's time to go home. She buys a passage with the gypsy's blessing. She changes out of the rough clothes and into a proper English gown for the first time. And on the ship, sailing home, she begins to learn something she never knew as a man. She learns what the world expects of a woman. She notices a sailor nearly falls from the rigging just because her ankles showed beneath her skirts, and she's astonished. She has to be careful now, where to look, how to sit, what to say. As a man, the whole world was hers to move through freely. As a woman, she finds the world has put up 1,000 small fences she never saw before, and she's expected to call them protection. But here's the thing, she doesn't decide men are better or women are better. She has been both, and she finds she carries both inside her still. She can think like the man she was and feel like the woman she is, all at once. Woolf suggests this might be the truest way to be a person. The ship sails on through warm days and cool nights, and the further north they go, the more she feels England rising toward her like a held breath. One gray morning, the coast of England rises out of the mist, green and damp and cloudy and entirely itself, and her heart turns over to see it. She steps off the ship onto English soil after years away, a woman now where she left as a man, and almost no one knows the difference. She makes her way back across the country toward the one place that has always been home, the great gray house among the parkland.
The old servants meet her at the door. They're not surprised, exactly. They simply say very gently, "Welcome home, my lady." And she's home.
But the law is not so gentle. Word spreads that the lord of the house has come back a lady, and the lawyers descend like crows. They tell her something absurd and cruel. As a woman, she may not legally own her own house. She may, in fact, be legally dead. Think about that. She's standing in her own home, the same soul who built it, and the law says she might not exist at all. The lawsuits begin. They will drag on, in Woolf's playful telling, for what feels like centuries, the case of who Orlando even is. But she doesn't crumble. She does the strangest, strongest thing. She decides to simply go on living in the house as if it's hers. Because it is. She walks through the long gallery, past the portraits of all her ancestors, and finds her own old face among them. Boy and woman, the same eyes. And standing there between her old self and her new one, she feels something settle. Whoever the law says she is, she knows who she is. This is why we read these old books at night, for the part where someone, against everything, simply decides to remain themselves. She settles back into the rhythm of the house, and, without quite meaning to, she takes out the old oak poem again, the one she's carried for 100 years. It's still not finished, it may never be, but she keeps adding to it, line by line, year after year. It has grown alongside her like a friend, and as the years turn over, the world outside the house changes too. The rough old times soften. A new, brighter, wittier age is dawning. It's the 18th century now, the age of coffee houses and clever talk of poets and wits, trading their sharp little arrows in smoky rooms. Orlando, restless again in the quiet house, goes up to London to be part of it. She wants to be where the brilliant talk is. And there they are. The great wits of the age, Mr. Pope, Mr. Addison, Mr. Swift, the cleverest men in England, all in one smoky room. She listens to them spin perfect, glittering sentences, and she's dazzled. And then, slowly, she notices something that takes the shine off it. They're cruel underneath the cleverness. They mock everyone, even their friends, and as a woman she sees how little they truly listen to her at all. She's clever enough to keep up with any of them, but because she's a woman, they treat her cleverness as a charming little ornament, not a mind. There's a famous moment Woolf gives us. Pope says something dazzling and cutting, and Orlando realizes the great wits are also rather small, frightened men. Genius and meanness, brilliance and pettiness, all tangled up together in the same clever heads. She files it away as one more thing she's learned. She still loves their words. She just no longer worships the men who wrote them. There's a freedom in that, the freedom of seeing clearly. To get into those rooms freely, she sometimes dresses as a man again, a coat, a hat, a different walk, and the whole city opens back up to her. She moves between the two, man and woman, almost playfully now. She's discovered that clothes change how the world sees you, but not who you are. It's a strange, lonely kind of freedom, though. She belongs fully to neither world. She's always a little bit of visitor in both. Through all of it, the lawsuits grind on in the background. The question of who owns the house, of whether Orlando is even a person the law can see, she lets the lawyers argue. She has learned the long view, Houses, fashions, even laws, they all change. She has watched them change for centuries. When she tires of the city's cleverness, she goes back to the house, and to the oak hill, and to the poem that has no ending. The oak is always there. It doesn't care what century it is, or whether she's a man or a woman, or what the lawyers decide. It just grows. And there, lying under the oak with the wide sky above her, she feels the centuries she's lived gathered quietly inside her, all at once. The boy at the Tudor court, the grieving young man on the ice, the ambassador in the heat, the woman among the wits, all of them are still her. None of them are lost. That's what she's beginning to understand. We don't leave our old selves behind. We carry them, folded up all the way through. But there's one thing she still aches for after all these years and all these selves, something the house and the oak and the poem can't give her. She wants someone to share it with, not to be owned by the way the queen wanted to own her, not the heavy pursuit of the archduchess, something equal, someone who would see all of her at once, man and woman, poet and lord, every century she's carried, and not need her to be only one thing. It feels like an impossible wish. Who in all the world could meet a person as strange and as old and as many-sided as she has become? As the years roll toward a new century, the weather itself seems to thicken. The skies grow heavier, the air more damp. A new age is closing in. It's almost the 19th century now. The damp, crowded, heavily curtained age of the Victorians is gathering on the horizon like a great gray cloud. And with it comes a new mood Orlando can feel in her very skin, a heaviness, a sense that everything must now be hidden, covered, made respectable. The damp gets into everything. Ivy swallows the houses. Even a single woman living freely alone suddenly feels like something the age frowns upon. She feels a strange new tingling in her left hand, the finger where a wedding ring would go, as if the whole age were quietly demanding she marry. It's almost funny how the spirit of the age gets into the body itself. She, who has been so free, now feels the pull to belong to someone. So she does something she hasn't done in a long time. She goes out, alone, into the wild, wet moor, just to breathe, just to be away from it all. And out there in the wind and the wet, she stumbles and falls and twists her ankle on the rough ground. And as she lies there, she hears a horse. The rider pulls up beside her on the wild moor. A man on a great horse, wind-blown and weathered, leaning down with concern in his face. He swings down to help her. Their eyes meet, and something happens that has only happened to Orlando once before, long ago on the ice. His name is Shelmerdine, a sea captain, used to far horizons and long absences, and within minutes, the two of them are talking like old friends. It's startlingly fast. By the end of that first windy afternoon on the moor, they both already somehow know they're going to marry. But here's the part that makes their love different from anything Orlando has known. They each look at the other and aren't quite sure of their sex. She's so direct and bold, he half believes she must be a man. He's so tender and intuitive, she half believes he must be a woman, and they laugh about it. Neither of them fits the box their age has built for them. And that's exactly why they recognize each other. Two people too large for one shape, finding each other at last. This is the love Orlando has been waiting 400 years for. Not someone to possess her, someone to stand beside her and see all of her at once. He tells her about the sea, about sailing alone around the great storms of the world. He doesn't want a wife to keep at home. He wants a true equal to come home to. And she, who has been a lord and a lady, an ambassador and a gypsy, finds she wants exactly that. A marriage with all the doors left open. They marry quickly, simply, in a little country church as a storm beats at the windows. No grand court, no glittering crowd, just the two of them and the rain. And almost as soon as they're married, the wind turns fair and his ship is ready and he must sail. So she watches her new husband go and she's not afraid. Because this love isn't a cage. He'll sail the world and come back to her. She'll keep her house and her poem and herself, and the love holds across all that distance. She goes home to the great house, and something has loosened in her. The heaviness of the age, the ache in her ring finger, it's eased. She is loved and still free. And in that lightness, she sits down at her old desk, takes out the oak poem, the one she's carried for 300 years, and she finishes it. After centuries, the poem is done, and it's a strange and quiet triumph, because she didn't finish it for fame, or for Nick Green, or for anyone. She finished it for the oak. This is the part worth resting in. The greatest books don't always end with a battle won. Sometimes it's just a person, finally at peace with who they are. She carries the finished poem up to the oak hill and lays it down for a moment among the roots, as if showing the tree the thing it inspired across the centuries. Then she takes it to London to be seen by a publisher. And of all the people in the world, who should she meet there but Nick Green? Older now, famous now, a grand old critic, the same man who once mocked her into burning her life's work. He doesn't recognize her. She was a young lord then, she's a lady now, and time has made him respectable. And here's Woolf's gentle little joke. The same Green who once said all true poetry was dead now says the exact same thing, except now he means her own age and praises the past he once mocked. But this time she doesn't burn anything. She's lived too long and learned too much to let one clever man decide what her work is worth. She lets him talk and keeps her poem. And strangely, the poem does get published. It even wins a prize. The work she made only for herself, for the oak, somehow finds its way into the world after all. But the prize doesn't change her. She's learned that fame is just Nick Green's opinion dressed up in fine clothes. The poem mattered because she made it, that's all. And then time begins to move very fast. Woolf lets the years rush forward. The heavy Victorian age thins out. The sky's clear. The world speeds up and grows bright and electric. The damp, dark curtains come down. Light floods back into the house. And Orlando, who has lived through it all, steps out into the 20th century almost without noticing the centuries have passed. She's still barely aged. She looks like a woman in her 30s, though she's lived for some 400 years, and the modern world simply takes her in stride, the way it takes everything. She drives a motor car now, she wears modern clothes. The long lawsuit over her identity is finally quietly settled. The house is hers beyond all question. After centuries, the law catches up to the truth. She goes into the great modern city, into a vast, bright department store with lifts that rise and fall, and she's dazzled all over again by how fast the world has become. And riding up in the lift, surrounded by all this modern noise and light, she feels all her old selves rise up in her at once. The boy, the ambassador, the lady, all here, all still her. She drives back out of the bright city, away from the speed and the lights, back toward the one thing that has never once changed in 400 years. She comes home to the great house as the light goes golden and low. She leaves the car and she walks up the hill in the gathering dusk toward the oak, the same oak she lay beneath as a 16-year-old boy 4 centuries ago. It's older now, of course, vaster, but it's the same tree, and she's the same soul. She lies down beneath it, in her modern coat exactly as she did as a boy, and the whole long sweep of her life settles around her like the evening settling over the hills. Far above, she hears an aeroplane, the newest, strangest thing in all her centuries, and she thinks of her husband out on his ship somewhere, coming home to her across the sea. The plane comes lower, and out of it, in Woolf's dreamlike ending, steps Shelmerdine, home from the sea, home to her, arriving on the newest wings of the newest age. 400 years of living, court and ice and desert and city and law and love, all of it has led to this quiet hilltop, this old tree, this person coming home to her. And the very last word of the book is a date. Woolf simply writes the day she finished it, the 11th of October, 1928, the present moment, right now. As if to say, Orlando isn't a story safely locked in the past. Orlando is alive right now, today, lying under her tree, still becoming, still herself, still unfinished. That's where the story leaves her. Not dead, not finished, just resting beneath her oak, loved, free, and entirely herself, with the whole strange, beautiful sweep of her life behind her. And that's the whole arc of it. One soul, 4 centuries, 2 sexes, and the slow, gentle discovery that we don't have to be only one thing to be whole. The whole book moves like a dream, slipping from one age to the next, never quite explaining, never quite worried, trusting you to simply float along through the centuries with her. And maybe that's why it's such a gentle book to fall asleep inside. It isn't anxious about time, It lets the years pass like clouds and trusts that the self underneath stays whole. We'll sit a little longer with Orlando in a moment, with the woman who imagined her, and why this dreamy 400-year life still matters so much, even tonight. Because the woman who wrote it wasn't just inventing a fantasy, she was writing about a real person she loved very much. And that's where we'll go next, gently, as the night settles in. For now, just hold the picture. A person under an old tree, at the close of a long day, at peace with everyone they've ever been. There are worse things to fall asleep to. The story is told now. The boy became a woman. The centuries passed. The love came home. The poem was finished. Everything that needed to happen has happened. From here on, the night softens. We'll talk quietly about the real woman behind the book, and then we'll let the whole thing dissolve gently into sleep. So let the boy at the Tudor court rest. Let the grieving young man on the ice rest. Let the ambassador and the gypsy and the lady of wit all rest. They're all home now. And let Orlando herself rest under her tree in the present moment Woolf left her in, loved, free, and finally, after 400 years, completely at peace. Take a slow breath here, if you like. The story has closed gently around her. There's nothing left to worry about. Everything has come, at last, to rest. In a moment, we'll talk softly about Virginia Woolf and the woman she wrote this whole strange love letter for. But there's no hurry. The story will keep. Whatever your day was, whoever you had to be in it, Orlando would tell you it's all right. You're allowed to be many things and still be wholly yourself. All the selves you've been today, all the selves you'll be tomorrow. Orlando would say they're all you, all welcome, all folded gently into one quiet whole. So settle in. Let the centuries blur. We'll sit a little while longer with the woman who dreamed all of this up, and then we'll let you drift the rest of the way down.
If you drift off here, that's perfect. This is where the story rests, and we just talk quietly about the woman who wrote it.
Her name was Virginia Woolf. She was born in London in 1882, into a house full of books and clever, difficult, brilliant people. Her father was a famous man of letters. The house was full of talk and writing, but it was also full of loss. Her mother died when Virginia was just 13. She grew up with grief never far away and with a mind that worked differently from most. She felt everything intensely. She would struggle with that intensity all her life. As a young woman, she moved to a part of London called Bloomsbury, and there she and her friends quietly reinvented how a person could live and think and write. They were writers and painters and thinkers, the Bloomsbury group. People called them. They believed art mattered and honesty mattered, and that the old rules could be questioned. Virginia married a kind, steady man named Leonard Woolf. Together, they even started their own little printing press, by hand on their dining table, and she began to write novels unlike anything that had come before, not plots full of action, but the inside of the mind, the way thought actually moves, drifting, looping, alive. She wrote books that are still famous today, Mrs. Dalloway, To the Lighthouse. Deep, serious, beautiful books, books that took everything out of her to write. Those books were hard, demanding work. They cost her a great deal. So when she came to write Orlando, she did something she almost never let herself do. She had fun. Orlando was her holiday from herself, a book she wrote quickly, joyfully, almost as a joke at first, and it turned out to be one of the most beloved things she ever made. But it wasn't only a joke. Underneath the play, Orlando was a love letter, written for one particular person whom Virginia loved deeply and dangerously, in an age that forbade it. Her name was Vita Sackville-West, a writer too and an aristocrat, bold, glamorous, restless, and utterly unlike anyone else Virginia had ever met. Vita wore trousers when women didn't. She traveled, she wrote, she loved whom she pleased. She moved through the world with a freedom Virginia found dazzling. The two women fell in love. It was the 1920s, and such a love had to be quiet, careful, mostly unspoken. But it was real, and it ran deep, and it lasted. And here's the thing that turns straight into our story. Vita had grown up in a vast, ancient, beloved house, much like Orlando's great house. A real one called Knoll. Knoll was enormous, said to have a room for every day of the year. Vita loved it the way Orlando loves the great house with her whole heart. She belonged to it, but Vita could never inherit it. because she was a woman. The house passed to a male cousin instead, and losing it broke something in her that never quite healed. Do you hear the echo? A woman who loves a great house and is told by the law that, because she's a woman, it can never truly be hers. That's not just Orlando, that's Vita. So Virginia did something extraordinary with her love. She wrote Vita a book, a whole novel, in which she gave Vita everything the real world had denied her. In the book, Orlando keeps the great house forever. In the book, a woman can be a man and a man can be a woman, freely, joyfully. In the book, Vita gets to live for 400 years. Vita's own son later called Orlando the longest and most charming love letter in all of literature. And that's exactly what it is, a gift of everything Virginia couldn't give her any other way. When the book was published in 1928, Virginia even put real photographs of Vita inside it, dressed up as Orlando, in costumes from across the centuries. It was almost an open secret. Everyone who knew them understood who Orlando really was. Virginia had written her love into a book the whole world could read, and hidden it in plain sight. And readers loved it. Orlando sold better than anything Virginia had written. The playful book, the holiday book, the love letter. It was the one that reached the most hearts. Part of why is the way she wrote it. She pretended the whole book was a serious biography, written by a fussy, anxious biographer trying and failing to pin Orlando down. That biographer keeps apologizing to us. He frets that he can't explain the 7-day sleep or the change of sex, or how anyone could live 4 centuries, and it's very funny. By pretending to be a biography, the book quietly teases the whole idea of biography, as if to ask, can any life story really capture a living person? Can any single account hold a whole soul? Woolf's answer, gently, is no. A person is too many things at once, too changing, too alive. You can't trap them in a tidy story, and that's not a failure, that's the wonder of being human. So the book moves like a dream on purpose. It refuses to be pinned down because Orlando, like Vita, like any of us, can't be pinned down. The form of the book is its message. There's history woven through it too. As Orlando moves century by century, Woolf is gently sketching how England itself changed. Its weather, its manners, its rules about who you were allowed to be.
She's especially sharp about how each age treats women. The free Elizabethan boy becomes a woman hemmed in by ankle-length skirts and 1,000 small rules. The freedom narrows as the centuries progress.
It was a quietly radical thing to say in 1928 that the rules about men and women aren't fixed truths. They're just costumes the age hands you that change with the fashion. Very next year, Woolf would write a famous essay called A Room of One's Own, arguing that women need money and space and freedom to create. Orlando was the dream. That essay was the argument. But Orlando never feels like a lecture. That's its magic. It carries all these big ideas about freedom and identity, and it carries them lightly, the way a dream carries meaning without ever explaining itself. Virginia and Vita's love didn't last forever as a romance. It cooled in time into a deep and lasting friendship that held until the end of Virginia's life. But the book kept the love alive. Virginia's own life held a great deal of darkness. She struggled all her years with a mind that could swing from brilliance to despair. In 1941, she took her own life near the river she loved. It's a sorrow that sits beside her work, and it's worth holding gently, but it's not the whole of her. She left behind some of the most alive, most loving, most luminous books in the language. And of all of them, Orlando is the one that smiles, the one she wrote in joy for love. It's the lightest thing she ever made, and almost 100 years later, it's still glowing. Think of how it was made. A woman wrote it for the woman she loved, to give her a freedom the world refused her. That's the warm heart beating underneath all the fantasy. So when Orlando keeps her house and finishes her poem and finds a love that lets her stay free, those aren't just plot points. Those are gifts. One real woman giving another the life she deserved. Maybe that's why the book feels so warm to fall asleep inside. It was made out of love for someone to read by lamplight. You're reading a gift tonight, just passed gently along to you. Virginia once wrote that the truest things are the things we feel but can't quite say. Orlando is her trying to say one of those things about love and freedom and how many people we each contain. It's nearly a century old now, this book, and almost nothing about it feels old. The questions it asks about who we're allowed to be feel more alive today than ever. We'll talk a little more in a moment about why Orlando keeps finding new readers, generation after generation, and why it might be exactly the right book for tonight, of all nights. But just rest with this for now. A real woman in 1928 looked at someone she loved and the cruelty of the rules around them and answered it all with a book full of joy. She didn't write an angry book or a bitter one. She wrote a kind one, a playful one, a book that says, "Here, let me give you 400 years of freedom. Let me give you everything." That generosity is woven into every page, and it's why so many readers say Orlando doesn't just entertain them, it sets something free in them. It gives them permission to be more than one thing. So that's the woman behind the dream. Virginia Woolf, grieving, brilliant, brave, in love, who turned all of it into a gift and hid it inside the strangest, gentlest biography ever written. In a little while, we'll let it all go soft and dissolve into sleep. But first, just a few quiet words on why this old gift still matters to us, and maybe to you right now. So why does Orlando still matter, nearly 100 years on? Why do new readers keep finding it, falling for it, pressing it into each other's hands? Part of it is that the book simply refused to stay still. It became a famous film, with Tilda Swinton drifting through the centuries as Orlando, calm and luminous and ageless, became plays, operas, ballets. Artists keep returning to it because it gives them what Orlando gave Vita, room to imagine a self that isn't trapped in a single shape. For a long time, scholars treated it as Woolf's lighter work, the fun one, the minor one, but readers always knew better. Readers always felt how much truth was hidden in the play. And in recent decades, the book has found a whole new life, because Orlando, written in 1928, turns out to speak with startling tenderness to questions we're only now learning to ask out loud. Questions about gender, about whether the body you're born in has to decide who you are, about the freedom to move between selves, and the right to be more than the single label the world hands you. Orlando never argues these things, it just shows them gently as obvious and natural. Of course, a person can be a man and then a woman and be wholly themselves throughout. Of course, why not? That calm acceptance is what so many readers find healing. The book doesn't treat being many things as a problem to solve. It treats it as a kind of richness, a gift, a way of being more alive. And it isn't only about gender, it's about all of us. Because every one of us contains far more selves than we usually let ourselves admit. The child you were, the person you are at work, the one your oldest friends remember, the one you're alone at night. Woolf would say they're all real. They're all you. You contain centuries too. That's a quietly comforting thought to carry into sleep. You don't have to choose just one self and abandon the rest. You get to be all of them. They all come home to the same quiet place inside you. There's also the way the book treats time. It doesn't panic about the years passing. Orlando lives 4 centuries and never once frets that life is short or that she's running out of it. The years simply flow through her like weather, like seasons, and the oak tree stays and she stays. Everything changes, and yet the deepest things hold. That's a deeply restful idea. So much of what makes us anxious is the fear of time, of aging, of missing out, of changing into someone we won't recognize. Orlando gently sets that fear down. Change isn't loss, it's just living. You will change, you're already different from who you were a year ago, and Orlando would tell you that's not something to mourn. It's the whole adventure. It's what it means to be alive at all. And then there's the love at the center of it. Not the grasping love of the queen or the heavy pursuit of the archduchess. The other kind. The kind that lets you stay free and loves you anyway. Orlando and Shelmerdine love each other across whole oceans of distance. He sails the world, she keeps her house and herself, and the love isn't weakened by that freedom. It's made strong by it. That's a rare and beautiful thing to find in any book, a love that doesn't ask you to shrink. And it's the love Virginia wished into being for Vita, and in a way for all of us reading. So when people ask why Orlando lasts, the answer is simple. It's a generous book. It hands you freedom and acceptance and a love that doesn't trap you, and then it asks for nothing back. And here's why it might be exactly the right book for you tonight, of all nights. Because whoever you had to be today, whatever shape the day asked you to fit into, you can set it down now. All the parts of you that didn't fit today, the ones you had to tuck away to get through it, Orlando would tell you they're still there, still yours, still welcome. Nothing real is ever lost. You can be the version of you who rests now, just for tonight. The one who doesn't have to perform or decide or hold anything together. The one who simply lies down and lets go. That's what Orlando does in the end. Under her old oak with 4 centuries behind her, she simply rests and is at peace with all of it. And tonight you get to do the same. The book asks nothing of you now. The story is told, the love is home, the poem is finished. There's nothing left to follow, nothing left to hold. You can let the words just wash over you. If your eyes are already closing, let them. You don't have to stay with every word. The story keeps going on its own, and it will still be here, whole, in the morning. Think, if you like, of Orlando under the oak, the boy and the woman and all the centuries gathered into one quiet, breathing person at rest, and let yourself sink toward that same stillness. The great house is quiet now, its windows dark and warm. The oak stands steady on its hill. The sea is calm, and somewhere on it a ship is sailing slowly home through the dark. Everything in the story has found its place. Everyone is where they belong. There's a deep, settled rightness to it all. The kind of rightness that makes it easy at last to rest. Let your breathing slow to match it, in and out. Slow and easy, like the sea moving the ship gently home. There's nowhere you need to be but here, in this quiet, settling down. We're almost at the end of our reading now. Soon I'll go quiet and let you drift the rest of the way down into sleep. There's nothing left to do but rest. Whatever weight you carried into tonight, you can leave it at the foot of the oak, the way Orlando left her finished poem. Set it down. It will keep until morning if it needs you at all. You've been many people today. You'll be many more tomorrow, but right now, in the dark, you only have to be the one who's resting. That one is enough. That one is welcome. So let the centuries blur softly together. The court, the ice, the desert, the city, the moor, the oak. Let them all fade into one warm, quiet dark, and let yourself fade gently with them. The oak is still there in the dark, it always is. Steady, patient, holding its centuries quietly, the way you hold all your own. You don't have to do anything to keep them. They simply stay. And the deepest part of you, the part underneath all the selves, is just as steady. It was here this morning. It's here now. It will be here when you wake. It holds. The way the oak holds. There's nothing more you need to understand tonight. The story has given you everything it has. Now it just wants to keep you company in the dark while you fall asleep.
So let the room go soft around you. Let the sounds fade. Let the small worries of the day loosen their grip, one by one, and drift off like leaves on the slow, dark river.
You're safe. The day is done. The book is here, and so am I. And the night is soft and wide and patient all around you. There is nothing left but rest.
In just a moment, I'll say goodnight to Orlando and to the great house and to the old oak on its hill, and then, very softly, goodnight to you.
For now, just breathe and rest and let the story hold you. The oak is steady, the house is quiet, the ship is sailing home, and everything at last is well. So here we are, at the soft edge of the night. The story is finished, and there's nothing left to do but let it settle around you like a warm blanket. The oak still stands on its hill, dark and steady against the stars. It has stood there through 400 years of this story, and it stands there still. Orlando rests beneath it, loved and free and whole. Every self she's ever been is gathered quietly inside her, all at peace, all home at last. The great house is dark now, its windows soft and warm. The long galleries are quiet. The portraits sleep in their frames. Everything is still. Out on the dark sea, a ship is sailing slowly home. Its lantern glows warm at the prow. There's no storm now, just calm water and a gentle wind and the way home. The frozen river has long since thawed. The desert heat has cooled. The damp Victorian fog has lifted. All the storms of the story are over, only the quiet remains. Let that quiet settle over you too. The day's storms are over, whatever it asked of you, it's done now. There's only the soft dark and the steady oak and rest. Your breathing is slower now, that's good. Let it slow a little more in, soft and easy, out, slow and long, like the sea moving the ship gently home. There's nothing to hold on to. The story holds itself now. You can let your thoughts go soft and loose, the way the centuries went soft and loose around Orlando under her tree. The boy at the Tudor court is sleeping now. The young man on the ice is sleeping. The ambassador, the gypsy, the lady, all of them quiet, all of them home, all of them at rest. And you can join them now. You can be the one who rests. Not the one who decides or performs or carries, just the one who lies still in the soft dark and lets go. The night is wide and patient. It isn't waiting for anything from you. It only wants to hold you while you drift, the way the dark held Orlando and the oak and the whole sleeping land. Everything is well. The story ended in peace. Orlando is loved and free. The house is safe. The poem is finished. And you are here, warm and quiet, letting go of the day. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands go loose and open. There's nothing left to grip. The day is over and you did enough. You were enough. Sink a little deeper now, into the bed, into the dark, into the quiet. The way Orlando sank into her 7-day sleep. Gently, completely, with no fear at all. She woke from that sleep transformed into someone freer and more holy herself. Sleep does that. It mends us quietly. Let it begin to mend you now. You don't have to do anything for it to work. Just lie still and breathe, and let the dark do its quiet work, the way it did for Orlando all those centuries ago. The oak is steady. The house is quiet. The ship is sailing home. And the deepest part of you underneath everything is steady too. It holds. It always has. We've reached the very end of our reading now. In a moment I'll go quiet and let the dark take over. There's just a little farewell left and then sleep. Thank you for spending this quiet hour here drifting through the centuries with Orlando. It's a good way to end a long day, soft and slow and kind. This is what we do here. Every week, one old book opens slowly in the dark. No homework, no hurry, just a story and a quiet place to land. If this was the kind of quiet you needed tonight, you can always come back. There will be another story waiting on another night whenever the day asks too much. If tonight helped, even a little, subscribe. Next week, another book, another quiet night. But that's all. No more asking. Just the quiet now and the dark and the slow, soft drift down towards sleep. Let it carry you the rest of the way.
Picture the oak one last time, dark and steady on its hill. Picture Orlando resting safe beneath it. And let that quiet picture be the last thing in your mind as you drift off.
The oak holds its centuries, you hold yours, and the night holds you both gently while the world turns slow and dark and quiet all around.
The book will still be here tomorrow. So will we. Sleep well.
Next time, something older, a different dark. It's waiting.
Good night, Orlando. Good night, Shelmerdin. Good night, old oak. Good night, 400 years. Good night, great house. Good night, quiet sea. Good night, soft dark. Good night, you.
There's nothing left to do now. Just rest. The story is over and you're safe, and the night is soft and wide and kind. Let the last of the day slip away. Let your thoughts go quiet. Let the soft dark close gently over you, like the night closing over the sleeping hills. You're warm. You're safe. The day is done, and there is nothing left in all the world that you need to do but sleep. So close your eyes and let go and drift. The oak is steady, the night is kind, and you are exactly where you need to be.
Good night.